I'm Jonathan.
I'm Ren.
I'm Justin.
And we are
Looking Forward.
This week we're going to be discussing open source education. What is open source education, you might ask? Well, a number of major universities in particular have put entire series of lectures online for free. So anyone can go, they can download them, they can view them, they can learn from Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Oxford. Oxford's got several series, as I recall. And then you've got individuals who have really kind of taken a lead in some of the lower education, earlier education stuff. One of my personal favorites is Khan Academy. Saul does an amazing job going from, I think he starts at arithmetic, and he works his way up through Calc 3. I watched quite a few of his videos going through school on calculus and statistics, and I was very happy that they existed because they were very helpful. And all of these resources are out there for us. So we can learn a lot without really anything. Everyone is constantly adding to this. Another plug that I'll give is PBS Spacetime, which has done a great job of kind of putting out theoretical physics or astrophysics. They deal with quantum mechanics. Once again, just amazing content. And at the same time, we still have traditional universities. We still have brick and mortar institutions. We also have online institutions of varying qualities. So I'm going to just turn this over to you because you work at a university. And I know that as a tutor at a university, I used to direct some of my students to go, particularly to Khan Academy, because I used to do a lot of math tutoring. What do you see the role of these open source, if you will, educational resources is?
A lot of them are very useful. The Khan Academy is certainly useful. There are other teaching instruments available online that are useful. Some of the other stuff, there was a great deal of hope initially that MOOCs, which were massive online learning environments, would enable some simple classes to be taught. A number of major universities ran studies of this. At that level, it does not seem to work. Success ratios were in the 3 to 6% range because people don't finish. But as far as specific topics, as far as resources, as far as concrete, solid, basic knowledge being delivered, a lot of those programs are extremely useful to students, and we use them. I'm sure most places use them.
Where's we?
Empire State College, State University of New York. We use all sorts of online resources. We even produce some of our own. We have an online branch to the college. My estimate is that with the exception of MOOCs, everything that's been done with this type of learning has been successful. And unfortunately, I think that's all the series of lectures being put up for huge audiences are ever going to be. It's just a teaching aid. They're not going to deliver education successfully on their own. But they're a big aid if you can send somebody to watch a lecture. And if you assign it, they'll go. If you can send someone to watch a lecture that is been recorded by someone at Oxford on a particular topic, it's very useful.
I think I was just going to echo, they're a great aid, but the certificate or degree is still a signal that maybe necessary or needed in the world as we are. But maybe that could change.
Well, I mean, beyond the certificate, which is certainly one thing that the open source I mean, there are a couple of places where I think they fail. One of which is, of course, the certificate. Another of which is the fact that they are up there for free. So one of the things you don't get, as far as I've seen, is basically professor feedback. You may write a paper, but they're not going to grade it.
It's impossible.
Yeah, you might take an exam, but they're not going to evaluate it.
Right.
So, and you're also not going to be, and this may be very relieving to some people, but you're not going to be in that situation where you really have to take the test. And I can tell you that my experience in education is that a tremendous amount of learning happens during the test.
Mm-hmm.
Could these or are these being used as a stepping stone to, say, some of these other colleges which say, listen, come in and test out of as many, requirements or knowledge base that you can, and are those as effective as traditional?
They can prep you for certain Dante tests. They can prep you for certain other tests that may grant you credit. There are other methods of getting evaluative credit. We use an evaluation procedure that students can utilize for prior learning, things they may have learned, not done, learned, in the jobs that they hold, maybe in volunteer work. And I think these can also be useful for that. The problem generally is that there are so many people who at least start them that the idea of testing them successfully or, God help you, grading papers, some of those courses have 3,000 students.
It may be taken months or potentially years after they're loaded.
Yes. Yes.
So maintenance on them it's just not viable.
But they still deliver serious, meaningful information if that's the way they're viewed.
Mm-hmm. And if that's what you want. You think that has value if, for example, you want to learn more about classical economics, going and watching a series of Harvard lectures
Yes.
has value there.
Absolutely.
I think the notion of education being free, becoming free,
Mm-hmm.
Do we ever think that these will be on par, that you can go and learn whatever you want and it will be recognized in society as long as you can prove that skill? Because currently you have to pay to play that game.
To prove the skill, if you can prove the skill, I think there are methods of testing it into credits or evaluating it into credits. I think it is very, very difficult for most people to find the time and the focus to learn that way at a college equivalent level. That's what the evidence shows.
Will this, from the top down, because I can see incentives already from universities maybe do not want students to get the information for free and then test and have the equivalency, but would our society as a whole want our people to be as prepared as possible? And could this be an initiative from Secretary of Education or something that they would want to push? I mean, what would be the pros and cons?
The Chancellor of SUNY very much wanted MOOCs, and the evidence coming out of the MOOCs that were run was that they simply didn't deliver the equivalent education. Not that they couldn't, but that, again, time constraints and the ability of people to focus without the type of feedback that they're given on a lesson-by-lesson basis in a traditional classroom or in an online environment where there's close teacher supervision.
And pressure.
So just even just taking a test is not good enough to say that you've got this skill, because there's
not
other
at the
things.
upper divisions.
Will our society adapt, or could we adapt, and would we want to from a higher level to say, listen, you can show us you prove that you have the skill, but you have to not only take tests, but you have to demonstrate is there a way, because right now the way our system basically stands, if you want to get a bachelor's degree in a lot of places, you got to go spend time and money, and we're talking 4 something years sometimes, and is that fair if somebody can,
a lot of money.
I mean, you guys can learn like sponges here, but you still got to go through and.
Let me speak to that specific thing. Like I said, I watch PBS Space Time. They have it's actually a fairly high level physics discussion on quantum mechanics sometimes, on astrophysics sometimes. Let me say that what I've learned from there is significant, but I never had to write a paper, I never had to do homework, I never had to take a test, and let me tell you, my retention from that, compared to what I've had when I've had to do those things, and it's not that many less dedicated to learning the material, it's that I don't have the grade to go after to motivate me to the same level. And that's me, and I'm not saying there aren't other people that can learn very well from that, but I do think that there are a lot of people like me in that way.
I agree.
This brings up something very interesting, and I was thinking about this previously because, if we're talking about moving in an exponential world, Salim...
Not Dion.
No.
I thought too.
Singularity University, and his last name's wrote Exponential Organizations.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to get that name because the book
we'll put it in the
down below.
So
down below.
Salim, thank you. But what I was saying is, after looking at that, basically what he did was
We're relegating him to Hades.
He went and he looked at all these exponential organizations and was trying to find out what were the factors that. And after reading parts of that book, what I realized was, if you want to survive in the exponential age, you're going to have to build an exponential organization. And the things that you're going to have to learn, probably those skill sets are not even being taught anywhere. And if you are running an exponential organization, I want people that are exponential thinkers, rather than, I don't care if you've got XY degree from a great place. I guess I'm throwing this out there because do we think that more and more organizations, instead of looking at, what degrees do you have, and we'll actually be looking at, are you an exponential thinker, and taking people from, does that...
Very small organizations, maybe?
That's what I was going to say.
Microsoft did some of that when it was a completely flat organization. When you're not a completely flat organization, you have to have an easy way of sorting applicants. Mm-hmm. You don't have a choice. If you're going to hire 5,000 geologists, it's really, really nice that maybe you can pick out the kid who spent his entire life in the backyard rotting around with rocks, but you still need 4,999 more. And the simplest way to select them is, do you have any training?
But are we going to, in this economy, in this world that you believe we're moving towards, are we going to meet these
numbers? Or at least that we could move
that we could potentially be moving. Are we actually going to meet these numbers as fast as we might need them?
I don't know. I think that it's probable, and I know we covered this in a prior episode, I think it's probable that what we're going to run into is the opposite problem. If we're not very careful, that we're going to run into a glut.
What are the solutions for that? Do we train more entrepreneurs to start looking for opportunities?
No.
Kurzweil was very interesting because Kurzweil wanted to be an inventor from a young age, and one of the first things he said was it wasn't the invention that he had to worry about right away. It was the timing of the invention. He says, if it takes me 2 years to, come up with an R&D and 2 years to market it, we're 4 years later. And in this age,
4 years is a long time.
It could have been moved past.
It could be obsolete in terms, because these paradigm shifts are...
I think that's unavoidable at this point. We are advancing technologically so rapidly.
Don't say that! No! We have to do... Okay, go ahead. I'm just saying, we've got to find a way to avoid this somehow, but continue.
We're advancing technologically so rapidly that and I think that there is an answer, but organizations in the present form of the dominant political economy globally cannot routinely stay ahead of development. It's not that they don't want to.
They can't.
It's that they can't.
Is there going to be a way where think tanks can... by the way, I believe it was Salim Ismail, book Exponential Organizations. Is there going to be a way that think tanks because it sounds like this is going to be, or at least you're thinking this is going to be something that is not being prepared for, can't be at the current, but can we do something now so that we prepare these organizations a little bit? Peter Diamandis being one, I think, trying to,
We're deviating.
We are.
I agree.
We are
it's important, so keep
he
going.
whispered instead of we're deviating. He's absolutely right. We are deviating from education towards preparing. I mean, we
business.
are to preparing business.
It does
but yes.
relate.
But thank you for keeping me on track a little.
It's okay.
No,
we can always edit.
And we are going to have to revisit this over and over
Yep.
because, quite frankly, and I know I'm a broken record, there needs to be a conversation. It is the most important thing we can possibly convey, because without a conversation, the type of changes I just mentioned, and that I can point to multiple times in computers, it's going to just run roughshod over everybody. We need to have a plan. If you're going on a vacation, you make a plan. If you're going to build a new house, you make a plan. If you're going to go out and fish, you make a plan. We are allowing the political economy to advance without a plan.
Fail the plan to fail.
Yes. So we will undoubtedly revisit this.
So, I think that's a good place to cut. There was another entire section, and I may just do a reflection on that, which was traditional universities and the value of research that they do. But I think we're already long enough, and so I'm just going to say thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Continue the conversation in the comments section, and make a response video because we love those. They're great, and keep looking forward.
Please.